Hey, all right, welcome back to the show. It's Tuesday's show, and we're doing all Ask UltraChen questions today. You want to switch over to email questions now?
Do you want to switch over to email questions?
I'd like to if you could do that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Let's do it then. Okay.
Great.
All right. So the first question we have on email here. Should I do the thing where they can see it or not?
I don't know. It's a little tougher
Okay,
in email.
okay,
Let's
okay.
just read it off.
So it says the Persona 4 Arena sequel has officially been announced with the title Persona 4: The Ultimate Ultra Suplex Hold.
Yeah.
My question: best title ever or bestest title ever?
It's a pretty sick title. But I mean, it's like on that line between ridiculous and good, which I appreciate. I appreciate that line. What about you?
Someone joked that they must have got it from Dive Kick when S-Kill wins.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It probably was from there.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be because it's like PUUSH, so it's like push, right? So I always said that this would be the game that they, since it's P4, so this would be the game that the community has to push for.
Yes.
Right? So I think it's a pretty good title. Yeah, exactly. So. Okay,
it's good. Let's go.
Okay, next question. All right. This could be an entire show, but here's my question.
Okay.
Pretty much anything doing these questions, love fighting games. I play Skullgirls and Cross Tekken, and there's a chance that they'll play Hyper Fighting. Thing is, how or maybe what can I learn from each of these games to improve my skills in AE?
So this is somebody who plays many fighting games and is interested in knowing how to play that many games competitively without kind of leaving one in the dust.
And what they can do to help for the core game. So
Right.
he's obviously mostly into AE.
Right.
What can playing Skullgirls, Cross Tekken, and Hyper Fighting, for example, help him in AE?
Yeah, it's a good question. I certainly find that I improve my skills overall as a fighting game player and somebody who understands fighting games whenever I pick up something new. So I've been playing a lot of Injustice lately. One of the major things that I've picked up from that game is a little bit more about mid-range play. It's a hard game to play mid-range in. It really is. Characters like Superman aside, playing footsies in that game is tough. Because you have to commit to chains.
Foot speed is slow.
Foot speed is a little slower. So finding the exact spots to throw things out, understanding punish timings, it's all a little bit tougher in that game than it is in a game like Street Fighter or Marvel, that kind of thing. When I was into playing Marvel a lot, I felt like that really increased my reaction time.
Yeah.
So good for that. And I always found after playing Marvel that to play AE afterward, I would have better anti-airs.
Right.
I'd have better reactions.
Yeah.
I'd be able to block overheads more easily. All of those things I found to be the case. And it's the same with Skullgirls. When I've played Skullgirls, it's a game that you have to have your execution down in, and it's a game that you have to really keep on your toes. You can't let yourself fall into just sitting around, even on defense, even when somebody's comboing you, because you don't know when the reset's going to come,
Right.
if it's going to come, and so you have to develop not only this execution but this awareness constantly of being in the game, of not, okay, I'm getting hit, let's look, that kind of thing. I mean,
Right.
So every game does have a skill to teach, I think.
No, absolutely. I was about to say the same thing. Skullgirls, you're going to learn so much more about mix-ups and reacting to things.
Yeah.
So just by playing Skullgirls a lot, your brain is already going to be always thinking, when's the reset coming? And because you're thinking about the reset, you can block things a little bit easier, right? And so if you just suddenly have that brain where you're thinking that way a little bit, even in Street Fighter while you're blocking, you might be already kind of on that tension, that trigger finger. Like as soon as you see Ryu pop the arm like this, you're just like, oh, high block, you know what I mean? So you can learn. Cross Tekken is good for I feel like for hit confirming and stuff, because obviously if you chain, then you're in more delay, so they can punish you a little bit more. Also teach you a little bit more longer execution.
In my opinion, it's a mid-range game. It's a game
just
that is all about footsies.
Yeah, it'll improve your footsies
it
by
will definitely,
a lot.
Definitely improve
By
your
a
footsies.
lot, yes. Hyper fighting, hyper fighting is just going to teach you how to read opponents better, because there's nothing else. That game is all about reading your opponents. So.
It's a game that is an awesome game while having just about the minimum possible amount of game engine mechanics. So you got block, you got walk, you got jump.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. And if you get hit, you die.
Right. So it's a very dangerous game, and it's a game where you have to understand how to get around without the crutch of other mechanics that exist in other games.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, literally, if you throw one wrong fireball with Ryu and Ken jumps over it and predicts it,
at the very start of the round,
over. Yeah, game is over.
If you throw a fireball at the start of the round, Ken does jump fierce, dragon punch, you're stunned. He does a jumping combo and he kills you.
Yep,
that's it.
That's it. You're dead. So, but I mean, the funny thing is, like, it sounds terrible, but everybody does that. Like Balrog, like you try to throw Sonic Boom at the wrong time, he jab rushes you, and then he stand fierces you, and you're dizzy, and then he kills you. So yeah,
right.
No, you can learn. You won't even. I mean, my Street Fighter game always improves when I play Marvel.
Yeah,
a bunch. You won't even like be aware that you're learning newer skills, but just because you're picking up mentalities, you improve in other games. So
cool.
Okay.
Good question.
All right, so let's see here. I was wondering what the best way to juggle multiple fighting games are. Very similar question.
Okay.
I like a lot, but it's really hard to play one type of fighting game one day and then the next play another different fighting games. Even though you can pick up certain basics, I feel like it takes a bit of while to get the hang of juggling games.
Okay.
Dude, I will say this right now. Alex Vai, John Choi, still the craziest thing to me at B5 when they played Alpha 2 and then jumped to Alpha 3. The games used the same sprites. And somehow they were able to switch games like that. I still don't know how they did that. Like, to this day, I still don't know how they did that. Because I will go from Mortal Kombat, where I was blocking with my thumb, to going and playing Marvel, and I just keep hitting S all day and just trying to launch people, you know? So,
I don't know. I've never found it that difficult, to be perfectly honest, to go from one game to the next. I guess I've always considered that maybe part of that is that I don't think of Zangief as a character. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm playing Zangief in Hyper Fighting and then Super Turbo, where they look pretty much the same, I know that it's not the same because I know it's a different game.
Right.
Even I'm not paying attention to graphics. Okay, I'm paying attention to where I think the hitboxes are.
Right.
So I'm kind of out of that. But that's it. It's a skill. It's just something you have to practice. It's still something that I do sometimes. Just last night I was playing Injustice and I was like, all right, played Injustice for an hour. Time for Cross Tekken. And I just made the switch, and like, it's something you have to practice like that. It's not something that comes easy.
If the games are different enough, definitely, it's a lot easier to make the switch. You know, like I feel like going from like Street Fighter 4 and Cross Tekken might be kind of weird, especially if you try to use the same character in both of them. Like if you go from Cammy in one game to Cammy in the other, all of a sudden, like not standing roundhouse, you're using standing forward, which is a great move, right? So it can mess you up in a little bit of ways.
It's just something you got to practice. I mean, I play Geef in both. Mm-hmm. He's a little different, you know. You can't do raw green hands in Street Fighter 4.
Dude, I've actually had Street Fighter 4 Cammy mess me up in Super Turbo Cammy when we play on the same day, you know, at Super Arcade.
Yeah.
Like I forget what my Cammy strategy was, and it takes me like a round. But the nice thing about Super Turbo is because I've played it so much, as soon as I remember, it just snaps right into place.
I think you're thinking of
too much of the
playing
character.
Cammy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not. It's just a character that happens to look kind of similar and have the same name. It doesn't even look identical, especially in a game that's as old as ST. Yeah. I mean, her options are so different. Such a different character.
Yeah, I don't know how the people, like I said, the people can just jump game to game like on a moment's notice, but yeah, the best way to do it, honestly, is to think about them as completely separate entities, just like you're saying. So try not to think like me, try to think like him.
And practice with it.
Yeah. And honestly, the more you play the games, the easier it is to jump between them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, if I went from, like, say, Super Turbo... Look, like, say I went from Street Fighter 4 to Cross Tekken. Cross Tekken I don't have a lot of experience with. Yeah. I'd play Cammy, and I'd be like, what's going on? I'm playing her Street Fighter 4 style and die. But when I go to Super Turbo, like I said, one round, I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? Snap, and it's all back into place. So it really does have a lot to do with familiarity.
Sure.
So. Okay, so what do you guys think about Big Band's Tambourine Special having a stick-shaking attribute? So they just revealed the new one. The tambourine comes out, like hits you, and then you shake the joystick, and it adds a few more hits to it. Do I have the video here somewhere? I do have the video here.
Wow, sweet.
Let me see if I can actually show it on the screen. Is it this one? Nope, that's the chat. Hey, what's up, guys? There we go.
Hey, all right.
Okay, I'm not gonna like go all fancy. I'm just gonna let it run like this. Right.
You gotta dissolve it over though.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So here we go. So basically, this is the mechanic. The tambourine comes out like that, and if you shake the controller, it adds more hits.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the light version. That's the medium version. He gets 11 hits, and then if he does the heavy version, he shakes it and he gets like 17 hits. Like
Okay.
that. So that's basically.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything against that or necessarily for it either. I don't know. I mean, there's mashing in games.
Yeah.
You mash when you have a hold in Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 3.
Mm-hmm.
You mash buttons when you have a super in Marvel games. I don't know. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's
no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I mean, it's just weird that you have to mash to do something like that. The only reason why I would say it's bad, to be honest with you, is that kind of mashing, left-right mashing, favors joystick players over pad players. Because it's easier to shake a joystick back and forth than it is to wiggle a pad. But
okay.
maybe that's not necessarily even true.
I don't know.
Maybe that's just because I'm more used to a joystick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it could be.
But yeah, it's whatever. I mean, that mechanic's fine.
Yeah.
So.
No big deals.
So here we go.
Cripes.
So someone wants us to promote something going on in
Montana, huh? Montana's Fall Brawl 2, October 27th at Muse Comics in Missoula.
starting time at 10 a.m. Small population, but hopefully a lot of people will show up.
Cool.
But he's also said he's only good at Injustice, but the upcoming tournament is 4 games, blah blah. But okay, there's no actual questions here. Then.
He'd like to know what the key basics to know about
okay.
Marvel, Street Fighter 4, AE 2012, and DOA 5 Ultimate are. I could no idea what for DOA. That's such a big question. I honestly don't know that we can get into that.
I mean, from a tournament running standpoint, definitely allocate a little bit of extra time for Street Fighter because it's going to be a slower game. Marvel can be quicker depending on the players that you have there. Because remember, Marvel early on took forever because nobody knew how to kill anybody. But now Marvel goes fast because everybody dies as soon as you get touched, right? So from a turn, and then DOA 5 looks like a pretty fast game. Just follow the rules. You can also go to Evo's site and they just try to mimic as much of the rules there as possible. It's a good rule set to be based on,
Well, thanks, Matt. If you send us a video, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Good luck at the tournament.
And
with the tournament.
Here's the funniest one. So we got the second oh no, this was not the question.
Why does David like playing low-tier characters so much, such as Hakan and Dan? Hakan is such a good character. When am I going to have to stop having to say that? I just don't know. Will it happen ever? I'm not sure.
He's top 15 for sure in 2012 now already. So
I don't know when that'll happen.
If he was always oil can the whole entire time,
be stupid.
He'd be
Honestly,
top 3 character.
He'd be the best character. It's stupid.
Or even number 1. Yeah, exactly.
As far as Dan, the reason I started playing Dan is because I was no longer able to play competitively at some point. And once I recognized that, I knew that I didn't want to play characters that I used to play competitively anymore, like Zangief and Dhalsim. Just couldn't handle it anymore, the difference in play. So I picked up Dan because he was funny and I thought he sucked. And after a while of having played him, I realized he doesn't suck. He probably is low tier, but he doesn't suck. He's viable. He wins matchups.
So Doc Wiley asks, so what about Q? How do you explain
Q? Q, I picked up in 2002 when I first started playing competitively, and I had no idea what the tiers were.
Oh, okay.
I have this infatuation with robots and robot-like
and ugly characters, right?
I thought he was rad looking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, okay,
I thought he was super cool looking. I had no idea whether he was good or not, and I didn't even necessarily know what kind of character I wanted to be playing. I had yet to really develop this love of grapplers and trappers. He happens to have a command grab, but that wasn't why I picked him. I just thought he looked cool, to be perfectly honest. And then once I realized that he sucked, I already felt like I was too invested in the character to switch away.
That's me and Cammy and Super Turbo right there. Yeah. But I knew she sucked when I picked her, though. That's the only difference. So this is the question that I thought was really funny.
Okay.
This question says, is Persona 4 the Ultimate Ultra Suplex Hold the greatest name for a fighting game of all time?
Okay.
Dude, 2 people asked this question.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
2 different people asked this. And this is not the one question I would have imagined getting repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he also asked, what are some of your favorite fighting game titles? But,
a couple of people have actually asked this question since then, so I'll just quickly say, do you think fighting games have a future on PC? Skullgirls and KOF are pretty good. Excited for Steam version of Ultra Street Fighter 4. More people should play on PC since it's universal. Yeah, we've talked about this. In fact, we had most of an episode dedicated to it. We really like the fact that there are more fighting games coming out on the PC.
Yeah.
We think they have a good future on the PC.
Okie dokie. Well, I think that's the last of the email questions that I have listed here. Should we go back to the tweets?
I guess there's one more. I've gotten to the point where I'm doing well enough in some fighting games, yet it feels like I'm just fishing. The game plan I and my opponents usually follow is that we stay at safe-ish ranges and throw out attacks or some tactics like teleport mix-ups, and if it hits, we confirm, rinse and repeat. Is this it? There's got to be more, right? Yeah, there is. It's understanding. Just think back to the episode that we did yesterday talking about Daigo versus Infiltration. How Daigo had a spot that he liked to throw fireballs from, and Infiltration recognized that spot and blew him up for it. And then there was this adaptation on Daigo's part to change the range that he was playing at. And then there's hopefully going to be, on Infiltration's part, an adaptation to change the range that he's playing at. You got to change things up like that. It's not just fighting at footsie range. If you're playing against some people, it can be tough to get out of that. If I'm playing somebody who's really strong in footsies, they want to make it a footsies game, that can be tough to get out of. But you have to do it if you're going to win, and you have to understand what the ranges are. In some cases, you have to get past the footsies game in the first place.
Right.
But if your game plan is to play very offensively, there are characters you can use that can get around it, and there are characters that once they get past the footsie range, that's where the game starts for them.
Yeah, and a lot of the games, 3D, 2D games, it really is just about that distance. One of the main points of talking about distance n and n+1 and n-1, is that Street Fighter is very much like that. That at one distance you have an advantage, at this distance suddenly the advantage changes, at this distance it's a difference. And so what you want to do is when you play the game, recognize the distance that you have the advantage in, and really just try to stay in there. Essentially what you're doing is chasing your brother who's like, leave me alone, and you're like, haha, and you follow him and keep poking him. He's like, get away. That's basically what you're trying to do in a fighting game. You're trying to remain in the distance that annoys your opponent as much as possible. And no matter what they do to move away, you try to stay in that range. And it could be n+2.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the distances. But then you just try to avoid everything else and stay in there. So while you guys are fishing around or whatever, if you find a range, like you're using Adon, you hit roundhouse, you keep kicking him, stay at Adon's max standing roundhouse range. Don't back away. Don't backdash. Don't Jaguar kick if it's working. Stay in that range and keep poking at him and keep chasing him. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Want to get back to Twitter land?
Sure. Okay. So here we go. Could Xrd replace Marvel if it's good enough? The changes are making it resemble Marvel more and more. I can't. It's not gonna happen just from a popularity standpoint.
Nope.
I wouldn't mind seeing it happen, obviously.
I'm not saying I would mind it either.
Yeah, I love Guilty Gear and everything like that, but it's hard. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough because Guilty Gear just. The interesting thing is Guilty Gear did get really big at one point in time in the States, but it's just that gap between.
It was in the dead zone.
Yeah, during that dead zone, and now, I
The
don't
dead
know.
era.
Yeah. It would be cool. I don't think it'll happen though.
Oh man, I've rooted for a couple of games to dethrone Marvel 3 actually, but none of it's happened, and you got to accept that.
The interesting thing is that Marvel is actually starting to really, really funnel right now. It's really
fair
funneling.
enough. Yeah.
Because Canada Cup, for example, right? I can't even talk about how many Doctor Strange loops we saw.
Yeah.
It's like flames of the impact, flames of the impact, flames of the impact. Okay, Tokido, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect's like 3 people. Okay, Justin comes on with his Iron Fist team. Flames of the impact, flames of the impact, flames. Like, oh my god! And then some other person comes in, flames of the impact, and it's like, okay, I get it already. You know what I mean? So the game is kind of funneling at this point. So while it might not be Xrd that might replace it, it's ripe for the taking.
Well, surely it'll happen eventually. Yeah. No game lasts as the top dog forever. Every game has been unseeded so far. Maybe like Xrd will do it. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Yeah.
I doubt it, frankly.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about event hubs not allowing anyone who has ad block active use the site? I think it's unrealistic. I think that you have to understand that a very large percentage of people are using ad block, and that percentage is probably going to go up. It's something that everybody who makes money as a content website on the internet has to deal with. That's just the reality of it. I understand their point of view. They want to discourage people from using AdBlock. They want to encourage people to not use it, and they don't want to like waste their bandwidth on somebody who's not paying for it. Not exactly, but providing them payment indirectly with the use of eyeballs on ads. So I understand their point of view. I just don't think that it is a realistic one.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say this is that, you know, see, running websites like that is not cheap.
Of course, I'm not.
The more bandwidth you use, the more expensive it becomes.
Sure.
I know a lot of people have been mad at SRK in the past for having all those ads and stuff like that, and they're like, I'd rather go to event hubs because there's no ad. Well, guess what? If you start going to event hubs, they're starting to use bandwidth. Now it's not profitable for him, so guess what happens? Now he's got the full page ads and all this other stuff like that, right? What people have to realize is that this is a realistic problem of the internet. This has nothing to do with event hubs. This is just
it's a problem that, like I said, all websites that make money on advertising revenue due to the content that they show on their page has to deal with. It's just it's part of the game.
So, we do have to get to a point where we are willing to support the sites that we frequent. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out. And I'm not even talking about fighting game sites. I'm just talking about whatever sites. Whatever sites you like, you just got to support them in whatever way you can. So, I mean, there's no reason to have ad block on when you go to event hubs if you like event hubs and you want to support them. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate of the fact that the internet has no law but the architecture of the internet itself. I think that is accurate. And so I don't feel like I'm compelled, frankly, to obey any rules other than those. But that said, I do give money to the people that I care about. I have some Twitch streams that I subscribe to.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I buy books a lot still, even though I don't need to. Like things like that. I mean, there's stuff that you can do that can still support if you care about it enough. If you don't care about it enough, I understand. I use AdBlock all the time on things that I don't care about.
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't know how intrusive the event hubs ads have
Not
gotten.
terribly intrusive.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. So, but yeah. So, I don't know. Like I said, I obviously I don't really frequent event hubs as much as I do SRK. So, yeah.
All right. Well.
Okay. All right. So, question: would you rather CVS3, MVC4, or I guess Capcom versus SNK versus Marvel?
It's okay. That's a good question.
Okay.
Probably CVS.
CVS3.
Yeah. What about you?
My answer is none of those.
Oh, that's the best answer.
I want to see Capcom versus Arxis. I want to see some Darkstalkers versus Guilty Gear action in this mofo, man.
That would be super sick.
Dude, you get Darkstalkers, Rival Schools versus Guilty Gear, BlazBlue. There, done. Best game ever made.
That sounds so good.
That's all I want.
It really does.
That's all I want. That was a rumored game a long time ago, and it didn't come true. But when the rumor came out, like I was just like, and then
That's a good idea, though.
Dude, it'd be so good, dude. That'd be so.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, that's what. And then that would also answer the question of what the best crossover game ever is. So yeah, that would cover that one as well. So okay.
Okay, so in Ultra, based on what we already know about the characters in AE, which of the returning fighters will be the top threat?
I mean, we kind of answered this question already,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very similar to the other question that was. So let's go ahead and skip that one then. So do you think consoles will continue to dominate the FG space, or do you see PC? Oh, that was one of the email questions as well.
Well, it's sort of. I mean, I'm not sure that I see fighting games dominating, or rather, consoles dominating fighting game. PC dominating fighting games. It's hard to know where the next generation is going to go with PS4, with Xbox One, Steam Box. I mean, who knows? More games coming out on Steam. I would like it if everything was on PC because then I just have one spot to do everything on. But at the same time, I know that tournament organizers would hate to see that because that would make it pretty tough for them. So
I mean, honestly, the biggest advantage of PC is that at least in general, it's pretty compatible. It's pretty backwards compatible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got to take into account it's harder to develop for, right? Because you got to take into account like 700,000 different video cards and whatever stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's not easy.
Steam Box. What do you think of the Steam Box, though?
Love it.
You think that might be a
Mostly
future?
because it's Linux gaming.
Do you think that could be a future potentially for fighting games?
Yeah, potentially, sure. I mean, we talked about all the games that are coming out for Steam. You know, KOF is coming out, Skullgirls is out, Ultra Street Fighter 4, etc., or more. Yeah, it could be, but it's just hard to know how that thing is going to work out in practice.
Okay.
It's too far away. We don't know enough about it yet.
Someone's asking, was it Battle Beast that you couldn't remember?
Battle Beast. Let me Google it.
Battle Beast is the Hasbro toy though. That's a completely different thing.
No, it was
right?
not. No, it wasn't that. Sorry.
No. Battle Beasts were
I'm telling you guys, I
the
just
80s toy, the Battle Beast with the fire, earth, and the wood. Fire, water, and wood, right? Weren't those Battle Beasts from a long time ago?
let's see. Battle Beasts is a line of small 2-inch
Or am I thinking of
tall
something
action
else?
figure toys.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
The Battle Beasts, yeah.
Beginning in '87.
Dude, they were so cool, dude. I love those things. They
Alright.
had like the little hologram sticker that when you rubbed, it revealed whether they were fire,
Wow, they
water,
have-
or wood.
They have like a mix of Pokemon slash Mega Man X names.
Yeah.
Bomb Sheep.
Yeah.
An anthropomorphic bighorn sheep. His English name is Bighorn Sheep. Oh, that's pretty stupid. Violet Horn, an anthropomorphic bison. His English name is Bloodthirsty Bison. No, that wasn't it. I wish I could tell you more about the game. I only have like these very, very vague memories of it. I have a bad memory.
Right. Well, I think this is a great question because obviously everyone knows like who my number one and number two waifu is in no particular order. But who's your waifu?
I reject the question.
You reject the question. No,
I don't want. Look,
You are unable to reject that question. You have to answer. You have to pick someone. Q. I mean, would Q be your waifu?
maybe.
Would I be your waifu?
Not anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
Considering
enough.
recent
yeah,
events.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But no, I don't care about women in video games. All right, I don't care about men in video games either. I want robots. I want robots. Okay, I'm not joking about that. That's what I want. I'm not even messing around, man. That's what I.
So you would want to marry a robot. That
No,
explains
in video
a lot.
games.
That explains a lot.
I
As
know,
an
I know I
emotional
can be
person,
cold sometimes.
As an
but-
emotional person, okay,
well,
that
it's been
explains a lot now.
But not in real life. But in video games, yeah, I don't want to go into a video game and like live my life. I want to go into a video game and have some fantasy world where like everything is Tron and Daft Punk is playing constantly and like Kraftwerk is backing them up. All right, that's my world.
Okay, so Shaq Fu and Balls considered PFG. Oh, poverty fighting games. Okay, is Shaq Fu and Balls
Probably.
considered? Yeah, probably. Oni and Ultra. Well, Oni is doing well right now in Topanga B. Right?
Yeah, I think Oni is a pretty solid character. I would just say he's a mid-tier character. He's not great, not bad either. Very well solid within that game. In Ultra, I don't know what his buffs are going to be. I don't know if they've said anything about that yet. I assume he'll get a little bit better though, so we'll see.
Well, do you want to keep trying to get through the rest of these questions? Or?
Yeah, let's do that. But we should let everybody know that right now on twitch.tv/iplaywinner, the show that sucks is probably starting. They will soon if they haven't yet. It's Harrison and Hanzo Gonzo talking intelligently about interesting topics.
People are sending us, and they're actually doing something really cool right now. They're doing this whole thing where they're trying to get as many communities, no matter how big, no matter how small, to email them, and they're just going to try to highlight them and talk about them. Kind of like how we tried to do very early on when we tried to do the community communication thing.
Yeah.
And we just stopped getting a lot of entries, right? So, but they're trying to pick up some of that, and they're trying to do that now. So I think that'd be, definitely something you want to pay attention to.
It's a really good
cool.
idea.
Yeah.